Hello Internet, this is Oleg and welcome to another tech video. Today we're going to talk about one of the very important topics, and it's about wireless charging. What is better, wirelessly charge your phone or charge it with the cables using the quick charger or using the normal charging adapters but through the cable, or it's much easier and better to use it through the wireless charging pads. So as you know, wireless CA standard was developed in 2008 and now it's open up to a whole bunch of different manufacturers, and power wattage of the devices which we have right now with CA is started anywhere from initially created 5 watt, now it's going all the way to 7.5, 15, and the most recent ones even go to 30 watts. But not many people know that originally it was another company which is called PowerMat, which would have wireless adapters and charging pads created for mostly integration with the furniture itself. So you might see those power mats created in the places like Starbucks, for example, or IKEA was close to working with those. And there's a difference between PowerMat and CA, even though both are considered to be kind of wireless CA standard, but wireless CA is using anywhere to 205 kilohertz on the frequency for the pulsing field on the charging adapters, and PowerMat is using from 270 to 357 kilohertz to as a main frequency to charge your devices. So also in 2012 we have another player which is called AW4P, Alliance for Wireless Power. These guys created very interesting technology which would allow you to move around the room by creating magnetic field with a little bit of, like, as little as 6.5 watt power. It will allow you to charge all the devices which are inside that magnetic field but the power limit was only 6.5 watt. For now, this technology is using like resonance charging technology, and that is not very widely used right now, but mostly it's used for medical devices like implants and stuff like that, which has to be charged wirelessly. The benefit of A4WB technology is that it's using 2 different frequencies to negotiate with the devices for control packets to get adapters and see how much power we need to specify for each device in the field. We use 2.4 gigahertz, which is pretty much the same as wireless normal Wi-Fi, to communicate that data over between the device and the adapter, which is emitting that signal to charge your phones wirelessly. Let's talk about why there is obvious differences between wireless charging and the actual charging through the pads. As you know, there are obvious reasons why the people using wireless charging is the convenience. You just have to drop your phone on the wireless pad and it will charge your device. It's going to be slow, but it's going to be charging. And the benefit of that is that you have these pads pretty much everywhere these days, and most people would have them on their desk. It's convenient. You have them in a car like Nomad, or in any integration with the modern cars would have wireless charging pads inside the car. So pretty much everywhere you go you have an option to top up your phone on a charge. The other benefit is that it's less constrained on the power, because wireless charging pads were still not emitting too much power, like it's up to 30 watt right now, versus if you go to the direct connection cables, you can go all the way up to 60 watt or even 100 watt right now. And of course the most beneficial part is that you have also right now the reverse charging functionality, when you have 2 devices which can actually charge each other, and if you want to share your power with somebody else, then you can actually use that reverse capability of your phone to charge the device which you place on the phone itself. There's some benefits of that, but there are also some downside, and one of the biggest downside is, which is also questionable, and we're going to talk about that in this video more, is that the wireless charging speed is not that fast. So if your device is supporting direct quick charge adapter technology, then of course it's going to be many times faster if you connect the cable versus if you connect through the wireless charging part. And the other big downside of the wireless charging, believe it or not many devices still got wireless charging possibilities. There's lots of devices with it, because of the metal casing and stuff like that, which would not have wireless charging options available for them. Before we go into deeper analysis how and why to charge your devices, on the wireless charging pads versus the cables. Let's look on the main concept, and the question is, on all these devices on the market, and especially the quick technology to charge your phone faster, which we really want to do, is it better to have your devices charged wirelessly versus connecting through the cables? And the quick and short answer is yes. And the reason why it is yes is because it's actually going to expand your lifetime of the battery, number of charging cycles for your battery, if you charge wirelessly versus if you charge through the cable. I know there's lots of questions why it is so hear me out. Here is explanation for it. So one of the first rules is, when you go with the wireless charging adapters, we have to really understand how the charging works. And one of the first rules on the lithium-ion batteries, which we have on all the gadgets right now, is that these batteries do not live long if you practice charging and discharging battery from pretty much 100% to the 0 or to 10% or so. They in fact much better living if you have charging battery pretty much all the time to around 65, 75, 85%. If you go higher than that, then there's a problem, because as you know, chemistry, how it's working, it's the more you charge your battery, and it starts to get resistance to the charge, and if you push it more than 75%, then it's acceptance of the charge, it's going to be much slower, and this is where you're going to actually push it harder, and will stress the battery more. The battery start to heat up a little bit, and anything to do with the temperature is not good for lithium-ion batteries. So this is one of the main rules. If you have your battery warm up after playing games or stuff like that, your phone is hot and it really warm up, and you see the battery is getting low, don't put it to the charge right away. Just wait for the phone to cool off and then connect it to your charging. In that case, the charging performance will be much better, plus you will save the battery lifetime. One of the main kind of concept of discharging is the depth of discharge, right? And depth of discharge on the normal battery is the life cycle of that battery is direct function of that depth of discharge, how many times you can do that. So on the depth of discharge to 100%, so pretty much all around that, life cycle of the battery is going to be around anywhere from 300 to 500 cycles of charging before you start see degradation of the battery performance. If you go with 50%, this number will go up to around 1200 to 1500. And if you go only 25%, the number will go even higher to above 2000, like 2200 times you can discharge and charge the battery. So if you do normal math and see what is the most effective part, most of the effective way to do it is around 50%. Optimum capacity which we can charge battery is up to around 85%. So anything higher than that will stress the battery too much, but the benefit is going to be not so good. So basically what lithium-ion battery is going to do is they're going to start to warm up, and the chemistry will go and resistance will grow up on the battery side. When the current which you charge the battery will drop down by 2-3%, that will be indication for your charger that the battery is full and it'll stop charging if it's smart enough. If it's not smart, like the normal chargers which you have overnight, it will continue pushing the battery, pushing more and more and more. And that is not good for lithium-ion, because you will have materials deposited on one of the electrodes, and that will degrade the performance of the battery. So we're going right now into the realm of different types of chargings, right? One of the charger, which is most popular one, and this is what most people do, is you put your phone overnight for the charge. One thing is a good thing because it's a slow charging method, and if the charger is smart and communicating with the phone, then as soon as the phone reaches around 100%, the phone will signal to the charger through the protocol that it's done and the charger should stop. If it doesn't do that, the phone will become very warm. If it's above 10 degrees difference between ambient and the phone itself, you have to throw away the charger, because that means it's not working correctly with your phone. Anywhere the difference on the phone temperature and between temperature around the phone and the actual battery on the phone, if it's more than 10%, that means the battery is stressed too much. You either have problems with the battery, or most likely you have problems with the charge. The other thing is, which we have to talk about, is state of the charge. An obvious thing is, when you're talking about the capacity of the battery, and if it's going from 0 to 70, it's going to go very fast. If the current is dropping too much, That might be due to the drainage of the voltage from the battery itself or from the device, and in that case you will have kind of confusion between the charger and the device itself. The charger will continue pushing the battery, try to charge it to the max. At the same time, the drainage of the device internal current is so high then it cannot really go beyond that, and that might create lots of problems. The battery will not charge to the max, and it's going to become very warm because you're still pushing maximum current trying to do so-called saturation charging. So we now go into the topic when what is the benefit of the, for example, the very popular right now quick charging, and let's talk about that. So if we talk about connection to cable for the phone, and first of all, it's a strain on the adapter itself, on the connector. Many people got the connector broken because phone will slide out if you trip it with the cable and stuff like that, and it can actually damage the connection itself. That's why we mostly got right now the adapters which are going wirelessly, and the charging will go wirelessly. If you look about Apple direction, so all the other guys, like they're all trying to do things wirelessly right now. The other concern is which you might have is that to the actual charging process itself, when you go and your device is connected still and you try to use it, why the wireless charging is better? Because as soon as you pick it up, the charging will stop and you can start using your device. If your device is connected through the cable, you can actually continue to use your device while it's still trying to charge. And on one side it's good, on the other side it's not good, because it's so-called parasitic load on the device itself, which will confuse the charger. You will still keep your battery, try to push it up, and at the same time you're draining your battery using the gaming or whatever navigation, right? In most of the adapters you have in the cars, for example, which you use phone for navigation while the phone is connected to the charger, is allowing to charge your phone only or to run the phone only. So that means that the current which is triggered by the charger is not high enough to do the both. So you put the thing, you start to use it, and it looks like it's supposed to charge, but you see percentage of the battery doesn't go up. That means that the phone is draining enough current just to run the phone itself, but it's not enough to actually do the both things at the same time. Why this is also not good? Because of the parasitic current. So imagine your battery is getting charging right now, and what it does right now is then you start using your phone, it will start to drain the battery at the same time. What charger thinks is you still in around 70%, and it tries to push more. And because it's saturation charge, because it's already kind of on that border when acceptance of the charge is very low because of it's already almost full, so the adapter itself will try to push battery more, stressing up the battery and doing so-called saturation charge, right? So what happened here is that because phone is draining the power from the battery at the same time, your time when the battery is under stress condition will extend as long as you use your device. So meaning that the battery will heat up, it's going to be under stress for extended time, and of course this will shorten the lifespan of your battery. The other thing is with the wired compatible chargers is, you know that USB 2, if you remember that we have sometimes in the back, we used to have some of the adapters. USB 2, if you know, only supports up to 500 milliamp, right? So anything above that by USB standard is supposed to be self-powered. That's why when you go, for example, hard drive, which is external hard drive, previously you would have power adapter with it if it's too big, and USB cable to run the data. So people complain, and USB consortium created so-called dedicated ports. Dedicated USB you might see on the adapters right now, even on the regular type A and type B, which is basically saying that data connectors which are supposed to drive the data of USB 1 adapter are shortened together through the resistor, and that used only for dedicated charging ports. That's why you would see that technology. Dedicated charging ports I even have on my USB hub. I have 3 ports which are only for charging. They don't transmit any data. So this is one thing, and this is one of the way to kind of address that issue, but we need to go faster, right? So people complain, and USB 3 was created, which was going up to around 900 milliamp. And now even that is not enough. So now we can go on USB-C, and USB-C can go above 900 milliamp to 1 amp to 1 amp to 1.5 to 2 and 3 amp with 5 volts. So that's why we see charging capacity of the 3 times 5, so 15 watt. Or you can go with 5 amp on the charging with a 12 volt, which will give you 60 watt, right? The problem is that USB-C, if you see the connector is completely symmetrical, everybody is happy to use USB-C and they don't really want anything else. So they basically, the notion right now is forget about any other USB-C, let's put USB adapters, let's put USB-C everywhere, right? No lightning ports, no nothing, just use USB-C because it's faster. Problem is that we use USB-C as well, and you can see right now the number of pins is 24 pins on the USB-C port, and it's completely symmetrical, which is convenient. But the problem is that USB-C allowing you to program and control power output, which will get delivered to the phone. And why it is a problem? The problem is very straightforward. So if the adapter is created by the manufacturer of the phone and it's USB-C charging port, you connect it, you save pretty much, right? But what happened is because of the backwards compatibility requests, there is adapters and cables which would go from USB-C to USB-A to micro USB and all that other stuff. People will try to connect basically USB-C adapter to them and try to charge the phone. The problem is that because it's program controlled and wrong device command which might be issued from the device or from the power adapter itself, when they negotiate the charge, can actually be way above that what phone can accept, and the milliamp rating and between the charger and the battery will be so high, so different, then it actually can damage the battery. Again, if we talk about small currents like up to 1 amp, this damage is not going to be so significant, and of course we know that the device will try to drain only as much power as it needs for its charging. But if the deviation is more than 25%, that can significantly damage the battery, and that's why we have, for example, the battery will heat up and it might even explode or might even get fire and stuff like that. Plus you're gonna get chemistry disbalance inside the battery. You have lots of elements, because you know that lithium-ion battery does not accept anything like saturated charge, or overcharging the battery is not good. So this is the other concern, right? So that if you use high power adapters like 60 watt, 90 watt, make sure it's supported by your device. This is one of the advices which I can give you. The main idea here and the main message is try to use genuine devices to actually charge your adapters. If you go with wireless, this problem doesn't exist. Why? Because there's a protocol in place which will say as soon as you charge it up and as soon as the battery is completed, the wireless adapter will disconnect and stop charging, right? So problem solved there. But if you go connect through the cable, it's really up to phone and charger to talk to each other and see. The charger should be able to distinguish when the phone is full and the battery is no longer needed to be charged. The charger should disconnect. This brings us to another item about charging overnight. So when you're charging overnight, ideally, because lithium-ion battery does not accept overcharging, does not accept trickle charge, does not accept saturated charge, so it only goes from 0 or from whatever balance you have to the 100, and then it should stop. Then you go overnight and charging. If the charging adapter does not really care and really doesn't read phone messages, so-called messages between the phone and the charger correctly, basically if you connect through the cable, if the current drops more than actually it's got limit, then the charger should immediately stop the charging. Plus, if you go with wireless, there's lots of other things. Like you might have sensing on the temperature, and the phone will tell wireless charger, oh, my temperature is too high, stop charging, right? If you go current dropped on the battery, the phone again sense it, send message to the charger, said stop it, right? But if you connect it through the cable, that might not happen at all. So that's why it's one more benefit to actually try to use wireless charging more in order to save your battery. Of course, if you don't plan to use your phone more than 1 year, then you don't really care, right? So, but at the prices of the phones right now and the cycle of the change of the phones, when people changing the phones to the next generation, You used to do it pretty much every year. Now it's going to more like do it once every 2 years, every 3 years. Some people go with the old phones for a while and it go up once every 5 years, and then they change the phone to the new one. So the battery should be able to run that long, and the more you actually put battery in ideal conditions, the better. Which will bring us to another point about the battery's conditions. One of the ideal conditions for the battery, like we know already, lithium-ion doesn't like to be hot. If it's hot, the lifespan of that battery will be shortened very badly. The other thing is, if it's too cold, it's below freezing, lithium-ion will not charge at all. So when you come from the outside, if it's freezing outside, don't try to push your phone and try to charge it right away. The acceptance of the charge will be so low, or even nothing, because the phone has to warm up first before it can go and actually charge the battery. So we talked about this, we talked about the wireless charging benefits, and of course the main benefits is the compliance to the protocol, because when you notice when you actually connect the charging, right? When you connect the charging and put your device on the wireless pad, you will see that device will not start charging immediately. Why it's happening like that? Because there's a protocol in place, which agreement between the phone and the charger. The charger will, if the charger is very old, like the most we have right now on Amazon and AliExpress, and people say don't buy chargers from AliExpress. I have a few of those and they run successfully, they run okay. Of course you have to read reviews and see what's going on, but at the same time, the phone, if it is compatible and it says will work with iPhone, and you read review and it says yeah, it's working fine, the main indication for you would be measure the sensor's temperature, see if the phone is getting very hot when it's actually on the charging pad, see if the phone is getting hot when you pick it up in the morning. If it's hot, more than 10 degrees Celsius or 18 Fahrenheit, not good. So the temperature on the difference should be nothing pretty much in the morning, because by the time when you pick up your phone, the phone will be charged already to 100% long ago, and the charger should see that and stop the charging. And this is what you see on most of the chargers. You see the blue light, and then if you wake up overnight and see that the phone is charging already, it's become red again, saying that, oh, we're not sending any chargers anymore to the phones, to the actual wireless pad. When you go with wireless charging itself, there are new technologies which allow people to charge the phones on the go. There is one from Xiaomi, which is allowing you to go around the room, and there's a big massive box which is immediately trying to locate your device in a 3D space and try to find it and push the beam to you, which is kind of okay, but because you constantly, it's going to be in that magnetic field or magnetic radiation, some people might not really like it. So the only thing is right now is to try to align two coils together precisely and correct, and that's what Apple done with MagSafe. So they use magnets to align the two things together. At the same time, when the phone is connected through the MagSafe, it's using NFC protocol to read data between the charger and the phone itself, which is basically allowing the charger to understand if the phone is accepting enough power, or if the charger should stop sending anything back to the phone already by the time the battery is full. So again, hopefully this video will actually get you more clarity how to charge the phones. The main rules are, if you have the charger, and you have to select the charger and read the reviews. If you use the charger already, monitor at least initially how the battery reacts to the charging itself. If the phone becomes warm, don't try to measure the temperature, see the temperature sensors. On Android, I think it's very easy to do, and check the status and see what the temperature of the battery is in the morning and stuff. Right, you can do that and see if your battery is heating up or stressing up too much. For lithium-ion, the main rule is try to top up the phone during the day. Don't leave it overnight for the charge. If the charging will stop, yes, it's correct, right? Overnight charging will, even if thing stops, you still going from above 75%, above 85%. So you're going from whatever charging point you started to the 100. Remember, last 25% it's going to go saturation charge, and it's going to basically stress the battery to push it with a constant current, while the battery acceptance of the charge will gradually go down the closer you get to 100. While the acceptance of the charge is going down, the battery becomes heating up and stressed more, and this will shorten the lifespan of the battery. The difference between battery running from 85% to 0, for example, which is not recommended also. It's pretty much the same versus if you go from 100 to the same point. But time would be a little bit extended more, but it's not a big deal if you can top up your battery during the day in many places. Like, I have my charging on my table desk, I have it in the car, I have it pretty much everywhere around the house. So you go to Starbucks, you put it on the charging pad, right? You go to somewhere else, you put it on the charging pad. Topping up the phone, not to the 100 of course, but to around 90%, to around 85%. From like your safe range is anywhere from 30 to basically 85, right? And on iPhone, if you go and see that you're going closer, you can go automation and say, I want to change the mode of the phone to safe mode with minimum power consumption mode as long as it reaches 30%. I have this automation on my phone. Very easy to set up. You go and set it up, and each time the phone reaches 30% of the charge, it will switch its mode and try to preserve power. So the difference between 30 and 20 and 10 will be longer, so I can actually save the battery life by putting less stress on the battery and less drain the power from the battery, give me more time to find the charger and put it on the charge. Alright guys, so that's it for today's quick video. Hopefully it was informative for you, and your charging habits is direct correlation between that and how much longer your battery will actually live on your device before you start to see these messages about servicing the battery. On the laptops and stuff like that, you can actually track that down. Laptops are much smarter than that. If the laptop is connected to the charging and the battery is around 100%, the charging cycle will not engage, right? So the laptop will check the battery and see if it's still okay, but if you count on the, for example, Apple laptop, you will see the cycle. If your laptop is sitting like mine all the time connected, my cycles are not going up. So this is basically saying I'm not trying to charge the battery all the time. I'm not pushing it, so it's just sitting there, and this thing is actually a very good approach as well. But for the phones, you cannot obviously do that. The other thing is, if you really want to save the battery of the phone and you really have to store it for a long time, then of course it's recommended to charge the battery to at least 50% before you send it over to somebody, or before you put it to storage, or before you actually start putting it aside for extended time. That's why when you receive your gadget from the phone, from the store, when you receive it, it's always usually charged to around at least 50%, and they ask you to charge it a little bit more before the first use. That's the chemistry behind it, and there is a logical explanation why we ask you to do so. Until the next battery technology is developed, which will change habits and recommended best practice how to use the battery and how to maintain it to preserve its life, these are the main rules. Charge to around 85%, don't overcharge the battery, don't try to stress it too much, don't allow the battery to get hot, and you will be safe. Alright guys, thank you for staying with me till the end. If you like this video, you know what to do. Share it with your friends, subscribe to my channel, and stay tuned for next videos. I'll see you around. Peace.